Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and another edition of what is in our stand today. Actually, it's going to be the workbench, and I have this gentleman who I met while just riding in the local hills. I was just doing hill repeats, and I ran into a gentleman, and I introduced myself to him, and I said, "Hey, my name's George. I own a bike shop in the local area." And at that point, we were probably only a mile from my store. And he asked me, "Really? There's a bike shop there?" When I told him where it was. And so then uh, I, I remember this response distinctly. I said, "Yes, it's right at blah, blah, blah." And he says, "So I can walk to the bike shop?" And I said, "Yes." So anyway, this gentleman has been a customer over the last 3 or 4 years, and this time he came to me with a challenge. He wanted to find a set of tires to fit on his 29er wheels, his 29er mountain bike wheels, because he didn't want to ride a mountain bike tire. He wanted to ride something more gravel-ish. So without any further ado, let's take a look at what we came up with as a solution. I suggested to him that we look at the WT line of tires. Now, I just did another set of tires for another gentleman in a 700 by 34, and it's called the Exposure. This one here is called the Resolute, and this tire comes in only two sizes, in the 650 by 42 and the 700 by 42, and only in this tan sidewall. So the customer had a little reservation on the tan sidewall. He says it doesn't match his bike well enough. But, you know, tan sidewalls are the rage again, and this was very popular in the old times, the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And then it came back for a little bit. A few years back, and so it's kind of nice. I like the tan sidewalls, especially on a really dark rim, carbon rim, and things like that. I think they just look snazzy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this 29er set of wheels, and he's got one that's already taped, and you can see that there, and we're going to inspect the tape, make sure that that's good. And then the other wheel the other wheel does not have tape, so we're going to install some tape on that. And what we want to do is then use this endurance sealant. He's not the type of person that's going to fuss a lot with it, so he doesn't want to have to check it frequently. And what I mean by that is most people don't know that the sealant dries up in your tire, and so every 3 to 6 months you actually need to either replace it or at least check to make sure it's still in a liquid form. Otherwise it's just not providing any sealing properties for you. So here's the other thing too that is important to note. The last few times that I've used these tires for a customer, depending on the size of tire, there'll be a dosage amount, and it'll tell you X size tire, you use this much. Pardon the shadows there. But in this type tire, once you put the recommended dose, so in this case, if we're looking at the numbers here, 20... It says 700 tire, only 2 ounces, but I put at least 3 because while this is a 700 tire, it's actually a 42, so it's actually a really big tire. So I usually put at least 3 ounces. Now here's the thing. The sealant will start coming out of the sidewall. It'll start weeping out of the sidewall. So the initial 3 ounces that I put in is probably just enough to get it to seal on the sidewalls. And then you have to put more so that you have more in a liquid form still inside to provide the puncture sealing properties that you need. So one of the things that I tell customers is the first few days that you take these tires, or you take this wheel set or bicycle home, you may lose a lot of pressure, and that's okay. Just air it back up, and hopefully while either riding or the continuous airing up, and eventually it seats better. But also you will see some sealant seeping out the sides. So just so you folks know that does happen. And you know, these are 700 by 42, so they're quite big tires. And just because some people do care about how much things weigh, I thought I would weigh that for you here. And these are they're in the 460 range. All right, so thank you for tuning in. And if you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel, and you can hit that little bell there, and that gives you a notification when I post a new video. In the meantime, we'll see you on the road.